It turns out the Pokemon fan base want to kill me recently. That's something that's happened, all because I said that Gen 1 games aren't the best in terms of design specifically. I made this post on Threads that's gotten 2.4k likes now. I said that Gen 1 fans, you know, they like to say that the original 151 Pokemon had the best designs, and they don't care for anything after that. And the designs in Gen 1 were not the best. Case in point, in Voltorb and Electrode is the example I gave, but that's not the only example. Like you can see down here, someone else has posted down Magneton and Dugtrio literally like, let's get the same Pokemon and stick it together with two more of the same, which is not creative in the slightest. They do this more times as well. They've done the same with like Dugtrio, and 3 Pokemon in Gen 1 are just slimes: Ditto, Muck, Grimer. And it's not even like, you know, the worst thing in the world is like to admit that, you know, Gen 1 doesn't have a lot of good Pokemon in it because they had a tight deadline and they had to, and some of them weren't half-assed. There's nothing wrong with admitting that, right? Not everything from your childhood needs to be perfect, but a lot of people can't seem to accept that. To accept that something that they liked as a kid might be flawed in some way, shape, or form. And there's a lot of people who hate on the new Pokemon, and I think this comment down here shows it really well. It's like Trubbish and Garbodor are literal bags of trash, which is a comment a lot of people say to shit on the new Pokemon. When Gen 1, they say Gen 1 Pokemon are the best. When Gen 1 literally had both Muck and Grimer, which are just toxic sludge, right? And this is the comment I'm getting from a lot of people, right? How they always defend Voltorb design, saying, hey, it's like an RPG mimic, right? It's the in-world version of a mimic in the Pokemon universe. Obviously, it looks like a Pokeball. It's trying to blend in, be mistaken for an item. Sound logic, I guess. Another argument people gave is how, you know, it's an object possessed by a spirit. But these same people shit on newer Pokemon like Klefki all the time, even though Klefki is exactly the same fucking thing. It's an inanimate object with a spirit inside, you know. In this case, a set of keys. And I quoted it here just because the comments are full of people saying, like, you know, how much they hate the new Pokemon designs, and then every argument they've made to defend Voltorb and Electrode, like such as saying, you know, it's a genius because it's an in-universe mimic, it's a possessed object. That's really clever. That's literally what Klefki is. In fact, someone else went into more detail further down here. I love when people bring up Klefki because it's based on a type of yokai called a tsukumogami, which is a spirit that inhabits everyday objects, tools that are frequently used, such as a keyring, right? And it's incredibly ironic that so many people are defending the design for Gen 1 Pokemon, specifically Voltorb and Electrode, and then hating on the newer Pokemon just because they're new. Because they don't want to admit that their childhood was not perfect. They want to say that theirs was the best, everything that came after was the worst, which I think is stupid. I like Pokemon, I like Gen 1, I like Gen 2, I like a lot of things like that, right? But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that some of them weren't terrible. Nobody in the fucking world is ever going to say Lickitung is their favorite Pokemon. There are people see things like Charizard and think when someone says Gen 1 wasn't the best, they're personally attacking Charizard and Mewtwo, so they have to defend it. Sanix, it is. You're not wrong. It's exactly that. It's because they have like these weird nostalgia goggles. They think because it existed during their childhood, it must have been perfect in every way, shape, or form, and must be timeless. And then when they see it contextualized or updated in any way, it must now be bad because it's different from what they experienced as children. Their childhood experience was the perfect version of it to them, and they think that's somehow objective. Like here, the shitting on Vanilluxe here, like, for being a sentient ice cream, despite the fact that it's the same fucking theme as Voltorb and Electro, you know, inanimate object come to life. They do the scene with the teapot as well, and a whole bunch of other things. In fact, it's a running theme in every generation of Pokemon. There's an inanimate object that comes to life. Rotom literally is a spirit that possesses objects and turns them into Pokemon. But yeah, some of the Gen 1 Pokemon, you can tell they really cut corners, because I don't know how many people know this or don't know this, but The name Krabby for the Pokemon Krabby is literally the Japanese word for crab. So in Japanese, Krabby is literally just called crab. We had a literal crab named Krabby. That is basically, it's an informal Japanese word, not the actual Japanese word for the crab. But yeah, it's essentially, they just called Pokemon that's literally a crab, and they called it crab or Krabby and expected people to roll with it. Yeah, they had a seal Pokemon named Seal. A goldfish named Goldeen. They can't get more blatant than that. And here, yeah, literally, they start. If you bring up the fact that it wasn't perfect, they start shitting on the newer Pokemon. This is a good reference to Jigglypuff's Seed from Above his peak design, if you ask me. Yeah, and I like it. I like Gen 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are my favorite gens. And I think Black and White and like Sun and Moon, they had some good Pokemon too. I just didn't really keep up with it after Gen 4. See, this is a fucking good one. Yeah, fucking Mr. Mime is a Gen 1 Pokemon. Nobody is fucking saying Mr. Mime is their favorite Pokemon. If they do, they should be on a watch list. You can see there's a lot of comments here from people who are not happy with me. Simple and cool. In fact, a lot of people saying, hey, it's like peak design. There's a few I replied to. Where are they? See, here we go. Klefki is a set of keys. See, they're happy to shit on the newer Pokemon for the exact same reasons I'm making fun of Voltorb and Electrode. It's literally a sense of the pot calling kettle black, right? Yeah, every single time I've spoken to someone who says Gen 1 still has the best designs, they then proceed to tell me they've never played a game past Gen 1, like literally nothing else ever caught your attention. Which is essentially the case here. They're even saying Gen 2 Pokemon aren't cool, and Gen 2 has some of the fucking coolest Pokemon, like Umbreon and Tyranitar. And it says here, and I replied saying, going by the replies, I think that's the case for most people who seem unable to admit something they like aren't perfect, right? They want to think because they like it, it's perfect. Here's one. So someone saying, they're saying I learned as an artist, less is more, and I'm like, this doesn't apply to everything, right? Yeah, less is more, but that's, you can't apply minimalism to everything. You can't apply one design philosophy to every single thing. Oh, hang on. This is one I've not read yet, because it's not been translated. Oh, I can't be bothered. It won't translate it. Okay, this is one I did reply to. He replied saying, Pokemon began as a game. Having Pokemon that looks like items that you grab is brilliant. Video game 101. And I replied saying, okay, now make an excuse for why Dugtrio is creative. And he's like, show me something similar to Dugtrio. Fucking in the exact same game. Magneton is the exact same thing. So those of you that know, Dugtrio is literally the evolution of Diglett. When it evolves, it goes from being one Diglett to being 3 Diglets. When Magnemite evolves into Magneton, it goes from being 1 Magnemite to 3 Magnemite. When Doduo evolves into Dugtrio, it becomes 3. That's essentially the case for like multiple Pokemon in Gen 1, where they just get a Pokemon and copy and paste it twice and call it a day. And the fact that they did it more than once is what I think is a sign that they might have cut corners. But this guy's like, no, this is creative, it's brilliant. I'm like, alright, cool. Make an excuse for it. And he thought he had me by saying, show me something similar, because he thought it's so unique. But no, Magneton exists in the exact same gen. There's a lot of comments here. I'm not going to go through all of them, as you can see. It keeps fucking going. I think it could have been a way to cut corners in the sense that the cartridge had like, a set amount of space and they need to save space. And copying and pasting meant they can reuse certain assets and save time in production. That could have been a way you could have excused it, but none of these people have made that excuse. They're all like, no, this is brilliant, peak creative design. There are so many excuses you could have made legitimately to excuse the reuse of designs or lazy copy and paste evolutions. But none of them are making it because they want to say it's perfect artistic visions.